For the sake of your eternal salvation, to all your listeners, it is time to turn your AR-15s into plowshares.
Or you could donate them to Armed Lutheran Radio. That would be fine. I'll take the chance. I'm willing to risk it on your behalf.
Pistols, prayer, and potluck. This is Armed Lutheran Radio.
Hi, folks. Welcome to Armed Lutheran Radio, a podcast about guns, about hunting, about competitive shooting, about the natural right of self-defense. And guess what else? God's Word, and what God's Word says about all this stuff. I'm your host, Lloyd Bailey, the Armed Lutheran. This is episode number 273. Thank you so much for making Armed Lutheran Radio a part of your week this week. Thank you for your support for the show. Welcome to new listeners who are joining us for the first time, checking it out. I hope you like what you hear, and I hope you will come back for more in future episodes. Check out some of the back catalog and some of the previous episodes. We've been doing this craziness for 6 years now. And today we are joined by our awesome cast of variety show with content from Sergeant Bill Sylvia, Mia Anstein, and Pastor John Bennett. Before we begin, though, I want to thank the awesome men and women who make this show possible, the members of the Reformation Gun Club. Armed Lutheran Radio is a listener-funded podcast, and that means that we rely on the monthly contributions of our members. Awesome people like Greg from Holly, Michigan, Melvin from Holt, Missouri, Richard from Pagosa Springs, Colorado, Robert from Monroe, Georgia, Steve from Grovetown, Georgia, and our newest member, Kevin from Marion, Iowa. Thank you all so much for your support. We really do appreciate all that you do to help make this possible. Like I said, folks, Armed Lutheran Radio, we're listener-funded. That means that we rely on the support of our listeners. We don't have advertisers. We don't have sponsors. So to keep doing the crazy things that we do, we rely on the generosity and the faithful support of members of the Gun Club. For as little as $1 a month, members get access to hundreds of hours of exclusive content. You get your own RSS feed, invitations to our monthly online hangouts, access to our cool new website, some cool Armed Lutheran swag, and we have a new podcast that's been going for, I think, this week. We posted our eighth or ninth episode. It's just for members. It's a weekly series of shows just about all kinds of stuff. It's a sort of a free-form stream of consciousness kind of. Well, no, I do some prep for it. I can't say that it makes it sound like it's horrible. It's not. But it's not just what you would hear. It's not just the things you would normally hear on Armed Lutheran Radio. We sit down over an adult beverage, and we talk about everything in life, from politics to guns to family, life events, sports, entertainment, you name it. Whatever's on my mind, we'll talk about it each week. And this week we're kicking off a series of episodes with ideas for how to disconnect from the culture, following up on episodes 243 and 244 last year. To learn more, to become a member, we would love to have you join us. Check out all the benefits and all the exclusive content available to members by going to armedlutheran.us/gun club, or look for a link in the show notes for this or any other episode. Before we get started, and I turn this over to my esteemed cast, I do want to mention, if you have not done so already, please check out our YouTube channel at armedlutheran.us/YouTube, or you can search for Armed Lutheran over on the YouTube website. We're adding a new series, or we've been adding to a series called Questions, where we take specific questions about faith and firearms and gun rights and God's Word, and we address those with some interesting, add some interesting video to it to liven things up. some sound effects and all that good stuff to make it entertaining. We released a new video last week about if you have faith, why do you need a gun, where we answer that burning question. I really would appreciate it if you would go check it out. Give it a thumbs up if you like it. Check out the other videos in the series. And if you like what we're doing there, subscribe to the channel so that you can be notified whenever we post new updates. Also, a quick reminder, my new book, I guess it's not new anymore, my book, Duty to Defend, is still available, $15 on Amazon or at the Armed Lutheran shop. But if you want a signed copy, I do still have a limited number of copies available. And the same $15 will get you a signed copy of the book with shipping and tax included. So check that out at armedlutheran.us/books. Or if you'd prefer to not have the signed copy or you want a Kindle version, you can go to armedlutheran.us/duty, and that will take you to the page at Amazon where you can purchase it there. Or you can find links in the show notes for this or many of our previous episodes where you can download a copy of your choosing. As I mentioned, today is our variety show week. We've got content from the entire cast. What this means for those of you who are new, every other week we kind of take turns. 1 week we do something called Clinging to God and Guns, where myself and Pastor John Bennett sit down and chat about recent events or dissect some crazy article from an anti-gun Christian. Or we laugh hilariously and see what lessons we can learn from Florida Man. And then on opposite weeks, we have what we call our variety show, where we have segments from our individual cast members. We have the pastoral pontification from Pastor John Bennett, Mia's Motivations with Mia Anstein, and a Ballistic Minute from Sergeant Bill. And this week, Sergeant Bill is talking about recovering from bad stages, something I wish I had learned much earlier in my shooting career. It's advice that I can definitely use, and you probably can too. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show, and I will talk to you again next week.
Time now for Mia's Motivations with Mia Anstein.
We're at the POMA conference in Franklin, Tennessee, and I am here at Freedom Frames with Garrett Dudley. Are you the founder, creator?
Yes.
Tell me all about the frames and what they are, because like yesterday when we were chatting, we had only a short time and it was too loud to get everything. So today it's nice and quiet and somewhat cool out here.
Yep, it's doable today.
Yes.
So I've been working with my hands since I was a teenager. Started off building log cabins, and for the last 16 years, I've been making a living with a stair business, selling stair parts and custom stairs, and install handrails and balustrades and that kind of thing. So a couple of slow weeks several years ago, I came up with an idea. So I punched out this model right here, which is my Sentinel model, which is made to go in the wall. Okay. And so I took that to my first gun show, got really good reactions. Had a couple of young men come up and say, "Man, we love your product, but we rent. We can't cut a hole in the wall." So I came up with these other two models. So let's start from my first model. This is a Sentinel.
Okay.
It goes in the wall between the studs. It's wicked fast. It's got room for a longer gun or a revolver. This little guy here is removable or reversible for an extra clip, mace, or snickle bar, or whatever you feel like you want to hold or hide. It's got room also up top for a second, or a shelf, money stash, keys to your favorite motorcycle that you don't want your kids to have, etc. And like I say, it goes between the wall. It looks great when it's shut. That's job one. If it doesn't look good when it's shut, you should spend your money on something else.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Now, these two are surface mount. This is my ambush model. This one's in portrait. I make this model in portrait and landscape. This particular frame's been opened tens of thousands of times, literally. It's beat up, but the joinery is still great, so I'm showing the durability of it.
Yeah.
Again, it's got quick access. It's got a magnet draw. It can go right-handed, which is where I've had it set up now. You can change the pin over to go left-handed if you like. The landscape model has a wider tray, so there's more room. You can actually fit 2 mid-size pistols in there.
Okay.
Okay, and as far as mounting it, it's just 2 screws, right? You mount it to a stud. You got 2 screws, one high, one low. So it needs to be in a stud. Doesn't need to be in the middle necessarily. Just needs to go to a stud. It has just bendy tabs, so you put whatever you want to.
Whatever picture you want.
A diploma or what have you.
Yeah.
Yep. It's very important that it looks like it's a regular picture, right? So you don't want to screw it tight to the wall. So I put these little pads on the back, as if you look at all my frames, they're all sitting forward just like it was hanging on a wire, right? So that's my ambush model, again, portrait or landscape. And then this is my guard. This is my newest model. Holds an 8x10 picture. It's pretty fast.
Oh, wow.
Pretty neat.
Nice. Wow.
Hands you the butt first.
The gun just swings right out there. How is it swinging? Do you have a mechanism spring, or what do you have?
Different mechanisms. This one, the patent is still pending on this one.
Okay.
So what I will tell you is it's riding all ball bearings, top and bottom, so it's nice and smooth, and we'll have a long life of service. I'm making these out of plastic now. I still have a couple of the wood ones left, but I am outsourcing just this dowel part.
Okay.
But it is under tension. It also has a set screw here that you can vary the angle at which it stops, right?
Okay.
And I'll say if you hung it in the corner and you wanted it to stop here and be
not
really
against
easier to
the
grab,
wall.
right? And also magnets pulling it towards that. That's part of the mechanism, but not the real mechanism.
Very cool.
Yep. And also bendy tabs again, and 2 screws, one high, one low. Done deal.
Cool. Is the frame, are they all oak frames? Do different species of wood?
Yeah,
I mean,
I
I
do
see
different species.
you have several finishes.
Yep, I do.
But as far as the species of wood, what all do you do?
I do red oak for most of my stains. I can do white oak when I can get it. It's actually a run on white oak right now, but I've got walnut. That's actually a combination of oak and walnut. And I do cherry, both with a cherry stain or the natural color. And since I make all my own trim, whatever I find that I think looks good, or if you wanted to say hickory and I can find the lumber for that, I'll run it. Mm-hmm. Yep. So
is alder a good thing for frames, or is it too knotty?
Alder, where I come from, is hard to get.
Okay.
I use pretty thick. I use 8/4 boards, which are like 2 1/8 or 2 1/4 inches thick.
Yeah.
Rough cut. That's more of a.
But cherry is a good substitute. So.
Yeah. I've got some cherry or 2 here. I don't have any hanging up, but I do have some.
Yeah.
This is actually a piece. Here's a cherry frame.
Oh, nice.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so I was doing these in a natural color, because I think it's a sin to
cover up wood.
To stain really nice looking wood.
I agree, but some people, they have to do it.
Yeah. This is the color that I had a client that said he wanted cherry, and I showed him the natural cherry, and he's like, no, I don't want that. I want this cherry. And I'm in the trades, and when you get cherry, this is what you get. This nice, I don't know what color you call it, orange or whatever. And some cherry, it's like people. We vary in color and size and shape, and so does the wood. So that's my cherry. I do on my little color chart up front there is just stained cherry.
Right.
But so I'm.
And these are stained cherry on oak?
Yes.
These ones up front?
Yes, that is.
Yeah.
No. I'm sorry. This is actually cherry. That's just.
Oh, it is cherry. Okay.
Yeah, that's just lacquered cherry.
And
but cherries are.
I guess the other ones look like oak. That one does not look like oak.
Yeah. So there's cherry and walnut on that one, and then everything else is red oak.
Okay.
Yep.
Cool. So if somebody wants a frame, do you sell online? Do you sell direct to your customers?
I do.
Okay.
From freedomframes.com. I sure do have an online store there.
Okay. And you have already pre-made, ready to go, or do they order what they want? How does that work?
I try to keep an inventory, but you'll see if you look closely at the site that there's likely a 3-week turnaround.
Okay.
So if I do have to mill it down and make it from scratch, what I typically do is keep parts, red oak in particular, milled and ready so that I don't have to do the whole thing, right? I can just pick up from step 4 and hopefully get it out the door quicker. But, yeah, we're working on that. I'm a small business, and it's a very unique product, though, and I make them one at a time, so you won't see them just anywhere.
Right.
But it's worth the 3 or 4 week wait.
Yeah, and you ship just standard shipping?
I do. I have a flat rate of $36.95 is what I do. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. Very good. Where are you shipping from, and where's your shop?
I'm in Central Virginia. Yep. I'm in Central Virginia, and that's where I make my living in the stair business, and this is just this little offshoot of having some downtime and some tools.
Yeah. Did you start this during COVID, or have you been doing it for a while?
It's been maybe 4 years now.
Okay.
4 or 5 years. I did the first gun show in December, like 3 or 4 years ago.
Very cool.
So yeah, it's come a long way.
Nice. Yeah. Well, I was glad to see you here, and when we did the speed interviews yesterday, I was like, okay, I'm going to go see you and talk to you, because it's something that, whether you're new or old gun owner, something that you can definitely have interest in.
My hope and my experience so far is that it's your secret until you can't stand it anymore and you want to show somebody what it does.
And it definitely looks like a frame, and I like the options. Are you on social media also?
We're working on it.
Facebook and Instagram.
Facebook and Instagram. Okay, so they can find you there.
He knows, I don't. I'm just a wood guy.
It takes a team, like always. I always say that. It takes a team. Get help wherever you can. And
Absolutely.
Cool. Well, thank you. I appreciate you visiting a little bit. And we'll talk more later.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You can read more from Mia, watch her YouTube videos, or check out her podcast, Mac Outdoors with Mia and Leah, at miaanstein.com. Time now for another Ballistic Minute with Sergeant Bill Sylvia.
Hey everybody, I'm Sergeant Bill, and this is your Ballistic Minute. Today I want to talk to you about recovering from a bad stage. Now, if you shoot competition, you have had at least one bad stage somewhere in a match. We've all had them. We've had more than one bad stage. And a lot of times you have a bad stage, you make a mistake, it can affect you, and it'll keep bothering you, and you'll keep having bad stages, and you won't have fun. And the whole point of this is to get some skill training and to have some fun. So let's get that fixed. As soon as you finish the stage, go over your scores with your range officer, safety officer, and do the things you normally do. After it's over and done, go back to where you need to load your mags, where all your gear's at. First thing you need to do is determine what went wrong. Was it a skill thing that you did wrong? Were you not aiming properly? Did you have a gun malfunction? What was the problem that occurred? The second thing you need to do is determine if you can fix it now. If it was a gun malfunction, maybe you didn't, on a reload, you didn't get the magazine all the way and you dropped the mag after you fired a shot, or, that's something you can go, hey, I need to make sure to get the mag seated on a reload. Or was it something where you think you're shooting and your point of aim is correct, but your point of impact is off? Might not be something you can fix right then and there. So that leads me to number 3, decide how you can fix it. And if you can fix it right then and there, even if it's something you cannot fix right then and there, make a note of it. Write it down on a notepad. Put it in your phone. Do whatever you need to so that you can look at that problem later on, the next day, or in the following week, and work on that problem and fix it. The last thing you need to do is let it go and move on. This is probably the most important thing you can do when you have a bad stage, is realize it's just that one stage, no matter how bad it was. Just let it go. You've determined what the problem is. You figured out a way to either fix it or address it, and then just let it go. Move on to the next one. Treat each stage separately and try to do the best you can do on each and every stage. Don't let one bad stage ruin an entire match. I've seen shooters that have done that and have done it repeatedly in couple matches in a row, and then they rage quit shooting competitively for a little while, if not forever. And that's not doing anybody any good. So if you follow these bullet points on how to fix a bad stage and recover from it, you can continue shooting, continue excelling, having fun, and getting better. I'm Sergeant Bill. This has been your Ballistic Minute.
Sergeant Bill Sylvia is a veteran of the Dallas Police Force and a masterclass competitive shooter. You can check out his YouTube videos at armedlutheran.us/Sergeant Bill. It's time for Pastoral Pontifications with Pastor John Bennett.
Hello and welcome to another segment of Pastoral Pontifications. This is the Pistol Packing Padre, Pastor John Bennett, and today we're talking about perspective, trying to understand the mindset, not of the radical liberal who's completely a lost cause, but these are the people that are in the middle, the people that may be convinced to our cause if we have the right arguments, if our arguments are based on reason and not emotion. It's very easy to get frustrated with those who are opposed to the Second Amendment, that are opposed to conservative ideals. And there's a temptation to respond in a condescending and sarcastic way, as if, why in the world can't you see things from my perspective? It's so simple. Of course, from our perspective, it is quite simple. But for those who do not share our understanding, it can be a lot more complex. And I had an experience this past week that kind of opened my eyes and helped me to have a better perspective of why those on the opposite side or why those in the middle think the way they do. I had a conversation with a family member, and they had watched this documentary on Facebook about social media, and they were convinced that there was no political bias whatsoever on platforms like Facebook or Twitter, that it was all about money. All Facebook and Twitter care about is getting as many clicks as possible, as getting people to put their faces in front of their platform as possible, that there was absolutely no political persuasion whatsoever. Now, it's easy for a person to be convinced of this, to have this perspective, if they've only exposed themselves to those biased sources that portray the social media realm in that light. Admittedly, I was caught a little bit off guard by this. I wasn't expecting this. This is a well-reasoned individual. I was under the assumption that they were well-informed, but I don't think that's necessarily the case. This isn't the kind of person that is a far radical leftist, nor are they the kind of person who I believe consume copious amounts of political podcasts and that sort of thing. He was convinced of his position solely because of the limited exposure that he had had from biased sources. Because I was caught off guard by this, and this was just a casual conversation, I didn't think to mention that, of course, there's political bias, and the perfect example of this is how both Twitter and Facebook at nearly the same time kicked Donald Trump off of their platforms and have permanently banned him. Well, Facebook gets a 2-year ban, but it may as well be a permanent ban at this rate. And they banned an account that was one of the most active accounts on their platforms, an account that would have been a source of revenue for them. And when they did this, it backfired in such a way that the market value of their corporations has fallen. They did this at financial cost to themselves. Clearly, this is a political bias. Ever since that conversation, I have been thinking of how we can learn from this. Learn from this regarding conservative politics, learn from this concerning the Second Amendment and defense of our natural rights regarding firearm ownership and the right to self-defense. Whenever you are faced with someone who does not share our perspective but perhaps can be persuaded, consider the sources that they have been exposed to. They're going to be coming from the mindset of someone whose only sources have been the mainstream media. Whenever they want to be informed about a subject, they're likely using Google. And let's face it, the results that Google pushes more and more at the top of their search list are those sources that are politically biased. So understand that the average person may not be as well informed as you think they are. Just because you happen to be well informed, just because you happen to study the issues and to know the statistics and so forth, doesn't mean that person that you're talking to does. So be patient. Be kind, don't assume the worst of others, and make your argument in a convincing way with the purpose of providing them with the information that has been hidden from them from the mainstream media, by the big tech information fascists, from academia, and the like. This also means that you have to be well informed. You need to study the issues. You need keep yourself informed of recent legal proceedings. Make sure you know everything that you need to know to provide the best defensive argument in favor of our natural God-given right to self-defense. Well, that's all for this time. Thanks for listening. If you have any questions, anything you would like me to pontificate about, you can send me your questions through the feedback page at armedlutheran.us. Christ's blessings to you. We'll talk to you next time.
John Bennett is the pastor at St. John's Lutheran Church in Willow Creek, Minnesota. For more information, visit stjohnswillowcreek.org. For show notes, be sure to visit our website at www.armedlutheran.us. Check out the Facebook page, The Armed Lutheran, or join our Facebook group, Fans of Armed Lutheran Radio. If you like what you hear, please leave us a comment on our feedback page at armedlutheran.us/feedback or a review on iTunes and let us know what you think. Thank you for listening to Armed Lutheran Radio, a member of the Self-Defense Radio Network.